Hello and welcome to the Pretty Good Gaming Podcast. My name is Mike Williams. I'm joined by Mr. Gareth Evans.
Hello.
And Liam Mckelvey.
Hello.
This is episode 30. 30. That's
it's a lot of numbers. That
it is. Every single week, I'm like surprised at what week it is. I'm like, how is it 29 already? So it's
I like
really
what you've done with the place, by the way. It's very space age. It's
pretty cool, isn't it? It's this big new newsroom that we've been able to afford.
Yeah.
There's about 400 staff in the background working away there.
tapping away out there,
Doing all the
researching and
research in it,
stuff.
so all that work that we do. We've got a lot of topics to cover this week. We're going to start off with some interesting stuff about Overwatch, where actually being nice, guys, being nice is a good thing, apparently, and the Overwatch community is actually starting to realise that, like it's news. And PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, there's another PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds killer on the horizon. Is this going to be like the first of many Battlegrounds killers that we're going to see now? Once the game gets big, you know, every other game wants to be it or be better than it, I guess. We're going to be going to EGX later on this week, so we're going to talk a little bit about that.
Yay!
Everything we're expecting and what we want to see there and stuff. And we're going to talk a little bit about the adpocalypse and how it's suddenly kind of affected us this week. It's kind of, you know, you might find that kind of stuff boring, but it's actually really important to the channel and the future of the channel. So
yeah, whether we're here or not, basically.
Yeah. So at least we've kind of buried it in a podcast, I guess, rather than put it in the front of one of our videos. Yeah. We got Fact of the Week, of course, and your comments. So there's plenty to get through. Let's jump straight into it. So Overwatch, we've covered it quite a bit on the channel already, haven't we? Like this toxicity problem that they've got in Overwatch, and it's a thing that they're trying to tackle. We did a video on it. Was it last week?
Jeff Kaplan video, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right. So he's kind of he made it like a developer diary where he was like, "Come on, guys, let's just be nice. Please be nice to each other. Wouldn't it be nice if we were all nice?" And then, in response to that video that he put out there, in the video that was kind of asking the community to be nice, one of the community members said, "Hey guys, I just tried out this thing that Jeff was talking about, being nice. And it actually really works." And this guy wrote a kind of a treatment on Reddit, just kind of explaining what he did and the reaction to that he got for being nice, which was other people being nice back to him. Shock horror.
Yeah.
So this is what he wrote: "Digitally born on Reddit, I started to be nice, really nice, overly nice, not sarcastically, but severely nice. I started to compliment my teammates and gulp, even the enemy team. I congratulated them on their wins." So it's just being a nice, normal human being. Yeah. And it turns out people like that and respond positively
Who
to that. It cut through the salt like water, he said. I don't know if water would cut through salt, but it's an interesting bit of conversation. Actually being nice gets good results. You don't get a toxic game going if you're nice to people. What do you guys think of that? What was your first reaction to hearing that being nice is good?
It's a shock revelation to nobody in the real world.
Yeah, exactly.
But a lot of people on the internet who only are like anonymous, who play games, who scream at people, who think that's the normal thing to do, to call people the N-word and just be horrible to other human beings because they're disassociated with them, because they're not in the same space as them. They would never do if they were sat across the table from somebody.
You'd get arrested, really, when you think about it, for half the stuff that you hear on in video games and stuff. I mean, Liam, do you think that it's kind of a shock that it's news now, that it's a Reddit thread that gets 8,000 upvotes from a guy saying, "Hey guys, I tried being nice and it actually worked"? What do you think that says about like the gaming kind of community in some of these games at the moment?
I don't think it's a shock, but I think it's a bit sad, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
It's news that people being nice to one another in a video game is now the news. That's bad.
It was kind of met with this sarcasm as well. Like some of the top responses to the thread are like, it's just like, lol, being nice gets nice results. Oh yeah, obviously. Like, so they're being salty in response to a guy who's talking about being nice. So it's ingrained in the kind of in the sand at the moment. But do you think this drive from Blizzard? I mean, do you think this is the kind of thing that they were hoping they would see? Like in response to this video, some people actually coming out and saying, "Hey, yeah, I started being nice and it kind of works." Do you think this is what Blizzard wanted?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, who doesn't? Everyone wants their community to be nice. No one wants a toxic shithole of a gaming community.
Yeah.
Like every developer probably strives to make their community like really nice and friendly.
It's quite unusual for a company to really flag it as a problem, though, isn't it? Like the way they've gone, this really is not okay, and we need to react to it.
I think the problem is because their community is so big.
Yes,
a lot of people are put off from joining or even leaving the community or leaving the game because of this issue, because of this problem. But they'd rather have the people who are there to enjoy the game, a part of the community, than the people who are toxic. So they've started banning and taking these measures against the toxic people in the hope that these players that aren't toxic, who enjoy a nice environment to play, they stick around and play for longer. Now, I equate this thing to, I mean, I play football with my friends, okay? And this is the way I see it, okay? When playing football with your friends, the guys on your same team, you encourage them. You're getting the best out of them by encouraging them. There are some people who just criticise, like you play a bad pass or you do something wrong. They'll just criticise people. But I'm the kind of guy who will go out of my way to say something positive, even to the players who aren't so good, just to try and get them to do better, to try and encourage a community spirit in the team. I don't know.
More importantly,
people working
you're
together.
just having a kickabout. You're playing a bit of football.
Exactly.
No
we're there having fun, right?
Yeah.
And I even to the extent that the other team, they're my friends as well, because we're just a group of friends getting together, picking two teams. If one of them does something well, something good, you say it can encourage them too. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm not that competitive where a friendly kick around will become like fisticuffs or something. But that's the way I equate it to. See, this guy, he's being positive. He's giving out a positive message, and he's getting positivity back. That's how humans work.
Yeah.
Okay. That's how humanity works. So it's not an unusual concept for me.
I know what you mean.
It's usual down the park, but it's unusual. It's fucking new in Overwatch. How?
Yeah, it's fucking news. It's an 8,000 upvoted thread on Reddit. If it happens in video games, it's for me. It says a lot that it's like banter that's kind of crossed the line. I think that's probably where it comes from for me. It's like, over the years, you've gone, like you might say, what was that? That was shite, which you might do in football. Like you might make fun of your friends or whatever in a lighthearted way, and that's kind of evolved. And the kind of frustration that's attached to video games when things aren't going your way, and people get worked up and stuff like that. And you combine all that stuff, and then every single individual is kind of experiencing that kind of frustration, and then they're seeing everyone else being shitty to each other, and then suddenly the whole community and the vibe in the community is such that the developer has to go, listen, guys, stop being knobheads. They've banned, what was it? It was like almost 500,000 that they've acted on.
480,000,
yeah. So they haven't necessarily banned 500,000, but they've done something to their
disciplinary
accounts.
action against them.
Of some kind, yeah. So, and that's, a huge chunk of that was thanks to player reporting, so that's going to be really important.
Yeah. But you think about the younger players, the younger generation who are just starting out on their online games. This might be their first experience in online gaming, and they just experience this the whole time. This horrible language, this toxicity, being aggressive towards people, it's being like negative.
Raised by wolves, isn't it? It's like you just kind of exposed.
You accept it. That's exactly what they expect. Now it takes someone like Jeff Kaplan to jump in and. It become news that people, younger kids who might not have experienced anything other than the toxicity, would be like, hang on a minute, what? There's another way to be. So that's interesting for me.
It's kind of a philosophical thing as well. That a lot of people were saying in response to this thread that this guy had written. You should be like this in your whole life. Don't just limit this to Overwatch. Just be positive. And it's not easy to be positive all the time. But this guy made like a conscious effort. Like, I am going to be a nice guy to everyone. I'm going to see what happens. And he was really pleased with the results.
Yeah.
So, and he's saying everyone else should just try that. Just really try your best to be nice to other people. Yeah. And then because he's getting that positive results back, he might just naturally be encouraged to be nicer in the future to everyone, and be overly polite almost, and say, good game, guys, like, nice one, good game. There are some games that are kind of, the communities are different in every game, aren't they? I mean, it's not just Overwatch that have got salty players, right?
League of Legends, Dota 2, CSGO, all their communities are pretty well known for being hateful, toxic, to be fair.
And Call of Duty.
And what, like Gaz pointed out, what do they all have in common? They've got huge player bases. They're massive games with loads of players in them, and that that's what happens, isn't it? You get a huge crowd, and you just kind of lift up the fucking silt at the bottom as well, don't you? You get all of the people who are just in it to be dicks as well, because that's what everyone else is playing. So it's kind of inevitable to some degree. Do you think Blizzard can actually, convert the community to any degree, though? Do you think they can actually make it a nice place to play, or is it just going to be a bit better in the future at the very best?
I think they could. I think they've got a decent chance. They've really taken a lot of steps to make the community better already. And it showed, like, with that Jeff Kaplan video, he was just like, look, guys, like, if you keep being this toxic, you're actually harming progress of the game.
Yeah. It's kind of a good little bribe, that was, I think.
It's like, we can't make community updates as fast because we've got to keep spending our time sorting you guys out, so we can't develop the game.
I think it already has had an impact. With this guy, the 8,500 people who've read this Reddit post, who've been positively influenced, or because it's like I could equate it to a plague, but it's like people influence other people in so many subconscious ways every single day, and just being positive to someone, it might have an effect on you where you're positive to somebody else, and this kind of thing will spread like wildfire. Use that term rather than the plague, because that doesn't sound so great. But yeah, it's spreading like wildfire.
Wildfire's not amazing either, really.
Well, I mean, it's better than some deadly plague, I guess. But yeah, this kind of thing will spread. The more people that do it, the more people who stick to their guns and say, no, I'm not going to be negative like everybody. I'm going to be a force and a beacon and try and inspire other people to do good.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, just as a general bit of advice as well, it's so easy to shut people down with kindness. Like, you would not believe it, especially just working in this kind of field. Like, I've noticed that being nice to people quickly turns them around from being someone who seems like quite an angry and frustrated individual who's just got horrible things to say. If you ask them a question politely in return, then you often get a very nice response back off them. It's just, you change the conversation completely just by being a nice guy a lot of the time. I think it's great that a huge part of the Overwatch community are kind of at least talking about it now, and that Blizzard's actions are kind of spurring them on to a conversation about it at the very least, like being aware that they need to be, not mental and be nice to each other.
And raise awareness that your actions have an effect on other people. So, because people might not consider that. Like, people who haven't thought about it might not think how much of a detrimental effect that they're having on other people, to the point where, hang on a minute, I can get banned for being toxic in a game. That might not have occurred to them, crazily enough. But I think the problem is, fundamentally, is that people can be anonymous, right? They feel anonymous. They feel like they're separated from the other people around them playing the game. You'd never get this type of behavior in like a LAN environment. You wouldn't be shouting, across the table at somebody in the same way. It's because there's no human beings there. You can't associate it with other people. It's just a frustration that you take out on a computer or on a machine.
It is definitely the anonymity. I mean, it's true everywhere. It's like Twitter and even Reddit itself, like the thing where this was posted. It's like the anonymity just drives people to behave in weird and different ways than they never would normally. You combine that with the shooting at people and being shot at, and then when you die and they don't, there's a level of anger and stuff there that it just kind of, so it all kind of combines into something that's not great, really. But yeah, I just think it's kind of going in the right direction.
It's great that Jeff motherfucking Kaplan came out and rose awareness and got everybody talking about it, got people posting on Reddit and trying to be nice. I think it's great what he's doing. Credit to Jeff for doing it.
I mean, like we said, it's not just Overwatch either. This is just one of the big examples that the company, itself behind Overwatch is kind of trying to address. So that's why Overwatch is part of this conversation. But it's been true of so many games in the past, and it's true of so many games right now. Like, segue alert, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, for example. You get trolling everywhere. Maybe not so much in Battlegrounds because there's not that much voice chat and stuff going on, but PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds is like the big game at the moment, in it. Like, Christ Almighty, will we not stop talking about it? Because it's just the biggest game. We can't avoid it. There's always news about it. There's always stuff to talk about. The latest one is like Battlegrounds Killers, right? So
what's going to be the next Battlegrounds?
Exactly. Games that are coming along, trying to do what Battlegrounds is doing and do it better and whatever, trying to attract, steal some of that action, get in on the action, on the Battle Royale action. So PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds is a 100-player Battle Royale on an 8K by 8K map. So it's got this formula, like this set of rules, this set of mechanics that's why it's so successful. That's why it's so popular. It's got all these rules in place, and it just works and is really fun, and everyone's really enjoying it. 10 million people at the last kind of count. So now we're starting to see these kind of pretenders lining up. What we've had so far are games that already exist, like trying to react quickly. So you've had Fortnite, that's the big one, that's done a really, really close copy of Battlegrounds within its own game. So that's like in beta now, is that right, guys? It's not fully out, is it?
I think it's out at the end of this week, I think.
Right.
Going live to everyone.
So our impressions of that were pretty warm, aren't they? It's decent. It looks, it's got a different vibe to it. It's
got
at least
the crafting twist to it as well. You can put traps and make your own buildings.
Yeah, build your own little fort or whatever on a hill, and GTA 5, no less, is kind of taking a swipe. It had its own kind of battle. The GTA Online is full of its own kind of modes, so it just makes sense for them to chuck in something that's kind of like Battle Royale. But this latest one is pretty serious, right? It's a new game. It's completely, it's just been announced pretty much. It's called Project X, which I'm assuming it hasn't got a title yet, and that's why they're calling it Project X. Because if it's called Project X, that's a shit name, and you need to change it. It's in the works by UK studio Automaton, which we'll get onto in a little while. But Project X offers 1,000 concurrent players in a single world. Okay, so it's kind of an MMO at this point. So it's massively multiplayer online in that sense, and it has this last man standing PvP mode, which is going to be 400 players, so that's 4 times as many as you get in Battlegrounds, and it's on a 12 by 12 kilometer map, so the map is quite a bit bigger than Battlegrounds as well. There's a ton of features that they're going to be adding into it. There's destruction, roaming wildlife, dynamic weather, foliage, displacement, which tracks, blood trails, fire, water. So it's got all these things that are trying.
More survival mechanics.
Yeah, they're trying to add detail to the Battlegrounds experience, I suppose. It's got character progression, which is going to be a hot topic for Gareth. Social hubs, and it's basically a Battlegrounds built up and around. Do you know what I mean? They've got this core game, they've built upon it, and they've expanded out in different ways with the social hub and stuff like that. So they're trying to do a lot of stuff, and they're using cloud-based technology to do it, which immediately sets my eyes rolling. I'm like, oh, great. So the first question I've got to you guys, what do you think, what's your first impression of a game that promises to be Battlegrounds but bigger and better?
Certainly ambitious. They seem like checking all the boxes. Destructible environment.
That's a huge one.
Tracking people, so you could shoot someone and then track them if they get away from you. This is some they're talking big. I don't know whether they could actually pull it all off.
That's a good question. Whether their vision will be realised, whether they're just trying to generate hype or what. But it's going to be interesting how they implement it using this cloud thing, which Mike is a bit sceptical about. So tell us your reservations about the cloud.
Well, I've got a lot of reservations about this in general, but the cloud technology I just haven't seen executed in any meaningful way in any game ever, and it's something that Microsoft were trying to do big style, and they, Crackdown 3 was their big. It was 3, right?
Yeah. Power of the cloud.
Power of the cloud. A destructible city, a whole city that is destructible. That sounds unbelievably amazing. We saw some footage of it, and then it's just kind of died down. It's just kind of been a bit quiet on the whole destructible city front, and the whole how's the cloud going to power the destructibility of the game and all that sort of stuff. They've just gone a bit quiet on it because they've realised that cloud computing isn't quite there yet. Not everyone's got the bandwidth to cope with it or whatever. And their big game that we talked about recently that was kind of, what was it, Obsidian? They'd asked Obsidian to make some huge multi-million man raid Stormlands where, basically everyone fights the same monster, and then they get some intelligent editing thing, their actual words, to edit together a movie involving thousands and thousands of players, and then give everyone their own distinct cut of that movie. I mean, that was all powered by the cloud, and it all went down the drain, of course, because it sounds insane. That's just what I think of when I hear someone making a game using cloud computing. I don't know about you guys.
Okay, so one question for you. What's the difference between the cloud computing and just server, like an external server?
Because the server, it's like, say, Battlefield, for example, which is quite a busy game. Yeah, so I don't know how much of it is done on the server, but I imagine some of the destructibility, for example, it's got to be because all the players see the destructible buildings and stuff, right? But this is not just destructibility. That's one thing. It's like destructibility, like all of the other the fact that there's 400 players, not 64.
Yeah.
The fact that there's tracks in the dirt that you can follow, dynamic weather, roaming wildlife, all of this information, which basically it's like the server is doing so much of the heavy lifting there.
Yeah.
I don't know how feasible it is. I mean, maybe they're talking like 4 years down the line when everybody does have decent internet. We don't know. This has basically just been announced and is very much a work in progress. So we don't know what the actual end result or end goal is going to be yet.
Yeah, I mean, but that's the question for me. I mean, if they hadn't called it a cloud, would it have made a difference to you? Would they called it just like server, like huge server?
Yeah.
We've got huge servers. We're not going to call it a cloud because that's a stigmatized word that Mike doesn't like. So we'll call it a server. And do you like it anymore now, Mike?
No, because that's a cloud is cloud computing is servers, isn't it?
Exactly. I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's just terminology. It's just a bigger version of what's already like a tried and tested type of thing.
But it's because the server only handles a certain amount of data at this point in all our games, basically. But they are talking about like computer processing on a huge scale, communicated to hundreds of players. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying it makes me think this is going to be difficult. And let me tell you what. It's going to be difficult. Let me tell you what. The thing that makes me so skeptical is the fact that their only other game is a £6.99 pound multiplayer psycho kind of shooter thing on Steam, which has mixed reviews.
Yeah.
So it's not like this is DICE. If this was DICE, or if this was Bungie, or if this was someone who I know can make amazing first-person shooters, for example.
There's no pedigree there, is there?
Exactly. So I'm like, okay, so you're this studio trying to make this huge game that no one else has managed to achieve. No one's managed to pull anything on this scale off, and you're going to be the ones to do it, are you? I don't know. It's difficult for me to buy into it.
So the developer's called...
Automaton.
Yeah. Do we know who's publishing it? Do we know whether they've had any?
Well, they've
taken on any developers from different companies with.
Don't know very much about.
Pedigree?
We basically just have got this announcement today from Eurogame at the time of recording, so it's Tuesday, and they're going to be at EGX, and that's kind of why they've done it, because they're going to be doing a talk about it and trying to give some details, which hopefully will colour a lot of this in, and we'll get some more information. I think it's certainly exciting. It sounds exciting, and I like the idea of like an MMO-ish experience, because I'm a big fan of Destiny and games like it, like The Division as well. I do like that kind of shared world experience, right? But there's so many boxes that it's trying to tick. You know what I mean?
I think the problem is that it sounds like hard work. It sounds like so much can go wrong with it. And essentially, if they get the coding right, though, there's no reasons why it couldn't work. All right, it's a cloud. It's not been done before successfully that well, but they possibly could. The technology might be further, progressed now. They might have a good opportunity to pull it off. Now, what is exciting for me is the fact that people are iterating on the established Battlegrounds formula, and they're taking it upon themselves, because I love it. I absolutely love it. I mean, it reminds me of playing poker a lot, poker tournament, where you're aiming to be that last one standing, and you start on a level playing field, which I'll get onto in just a sec. You start on a level playing field with everybody else, so nobody has an advantage. You might get lucky in one round, you might get unlucky in another round, and that's what makes it interesting. Okay,
so that's where the poker thing comes in.
Yeah,
everyone's got get 2 cards, but
exactly.
Random
you might have
a
shitload of better players than you, but if you get lucky in one round with certain scenarios, or people take each other out, you might end up on top, because that's just how it's the roll of the dice, isn't it? And that's what I love about Battlegrounds. Everybody's on the same level to begin with. Everybody has an opportunity to win. Now, coming to the point where everybody's on the same level, this is where my criticism might come in for this game, because there's a progression system in it, which when you hear that, I'm thinking Call of Duty. I'm thinking like somebody who's level 45, when I jump in at level 1, it's going to completely own me every single time. There's no very little chance for me to get lucky on players like that when I'm first starting out. It just feels like this kind of game type does well because everyone is on the same playing field. I don't see it working otherwise. I mean,
that's kind of what my issue is. They're combining the Battlegrounds thing, where the comparison is there because it's everyone fighting to the death on a 400 players on a 12 by 12 kilometer map, which just sounds a lot like Battlegrounds, doesn't it? So then you've got that, so that's what they're aiming for. But you've also got this Destiny style character progression and social hub. So it's got that kind of light MMO elements shared with 1,000 players. The destructibility of something like Battlefield, roaming wildlife, dynamic weather, which is kind of like a Rockstar flipping open world game. Like there's so many things that it's like, what if you sat down and if the three of us sat down and said what would be the best game that you could come up with, it would probably be something like this, right? But we wouldn't be able to actually fucking do it. That's the difference. I'm sure, I'm not completely doubting them, but all we've got so far is bull shots, right? So they've given us 3 kind of screenshots.
Yeah, they look like bull shots too. The foliage is way. My computer can run that, and I've got a decent computer. Yeah. I'll never get that on my
Especially
computer.
not 400 players a game.
No.
Trying to
with destructibility and all of the.
It just sounds way too ambitious for what is essentially a small indie team with one game under their belt.
Exactly. I mean, I'm really looking forward to seeing what they've got to say. I'm really looking forward to being convinced about it. I said earlier that they might be looking 4 years down the line. They're actually not. They're going to be bringing this out next year.
How can they do that? Obviously, they're iterating on Battlegrounds, and since Battlegrounds exists, that's when they started their project. Since then, maybe in the last few months, how can they produce everything with that grand ambition they've got? Because it's a huge ambition.
Yeah, it's massive.
How can they deliver that in less than a year?
I mean, probably early access, I imagine, as well.
Yeah, that's a good call.
Next year might just be it's in early access.
The first stage.
We're going to keep adding these features over time. It's probably going to be like that, I reckon.
Well, it's going to be interesting, and the way I want to close this off really is whether or not this is going to be the first in a line of Battlegrounds killers. Like, there's going to be a few games coming out now. Do you know what I mean? That are gonna, it's like any other genre that's been a success. Like COD, Modern Warfare, when that came out, you had so many games that just took the Homefront or whatever. No one really remembers or plays the first Homefront, but it's like. That was so similar. They had so many. It didn't need to be anything like COD. It could have been its completely own unique thing, something more akin to Freedom Fighters from like the PS2 era, I think. But they didn't. They just went fully down the COD route because COD was popular. Do you think this Battlegrounds is going to have the same effect on other games? People will be like, well, it's going to be like a corporate thing. Like, is there a Battle Royale mode?
Yeah,
well, we need one.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. Just think about it, though. I mean, a question to put before we answer that is, what game did Battlegrounds kill?
I suppose it's an evolution of the survival genre, really. Games like DayZ, H1Z1, they started.
It's an evolution. There's no game that it's taken over from. It hasn't taken over from COD or anything else.
It's not a copycat, is it? It's kind of moved on from.
So this term for me, the Battlegrounds killer, or generic game, instant generic successful game,
Halo killer, COD killer.
It's just a boardroom talk, isn't it? How can we make as much money as these guys?
It's boardroom talk, and it's like IGN news talk because it gets people like, oh, you'll never kill COD. It's just like an inflammatory.
It's pretty good gamer video title clickbait talk is what
it is. Is what it is. But it's because it's kind of what's the word for it? There's a word where you just kind of shorthand or something. You just kind of cut the whole thing down into like 2 words, and like Halo killer means another big FPS that's kind of like Halo. It's misleading, isn't it? Because it implies that a game has to die for this one to succeed, which it doesn't at all. It's a great big world. Well, yeah. So there it is, Battlegrounds killers. So that's called Project X, and they're going to be talking more about it at EGX this weekend. Like I said, in a talk called "Breaking Rules and Making Worlds: The Future of the MMO." So they're on a kind of MMO panel. So that should be interesting. We'll try and jump into that. That's going to be on Thursday, and maybe we can give you some more coverage while we're at EGX.
Interestingly, sorry, before you move on, if there's anything that you want us to find out about this game and then you're interested, let us know.
Yeah.
And we'll try our best to find out for you.
Yeah, definitely. Ask us questions and we'll try and ask for you, you know what I mean? Speaking of EGX, let's talk about EGX. EGX is taking place at the Birmingham NEC the end of this week, 21st to the 24th of September.
And we're damn excited, sorry.
Yeah.
We're damn excited, guys. Are we not excited for
this? There's going to be a ton of games.
This is my first game, exhibition convention thing as an adult, we're covering it as part of the industry now. Like, we are journalists. How exciting is that? This is going to be amazing. It's for us at the very least. Never mind you guys. You guys can just sit and relax at home and watch what we do. But
this is going to be a pretty self-indulgent 20 minutes coming up. This is going to be this, then the apocalypse.
Just to prime you guys, because if there's anything that you want us to cover, anything that we talk about during the thing, just let us know and we'll do our best to generate content based on what you want to hear about.
Yeah, we'll put a link on the screen now so you can go over to the EGX page and there'll be a full list of all the games there. If you're anything you're interested in particular, you want us to get you want to get our impressions of, then just kind of follow the link, see what's there, and ask away in the comments, and we'll try and fit it in somewhere. I mean, there's going to be some queuing and stuff like that, of course, but we'll try and get to as many games as possible. What's top of your guys' list, first of all? Liam, what's top of your list?
Two big ones for me: Monster Hunter World. I want to get some 4-player co-op demo going.
I agree.
Just all of us, because that game's looking better and better every time it gets shown off.
I played a lot of Monster Hunter, the original, and I really enjoyed it. But then it's been on like handheld and that, hasn't it? And I never really got
like
into it.
Constrained to the 3DS for the past few years. Because of some like Nintendo deal, which hasn't been great because it's a game that needs a proper controller, not cramped handheld controls.
It's kind of been liberated, hasn't it? Because it's going to be on, what is it?
It's
all
on
platforms, pretty
PS4, Xbox One, and PC. So it's on everything,
Is that the first time that Monster Hunter World has gone big in the West? Because it's usually,
the first one was on PS2.
Yeah,
because it's huge in.
Oh, it's massive
in Japan, right?
Because it's on handheld, right?
But I mean, for one, I've never heard of it or played it before. So is it? I mean, and now everyone's talking about it. So is it the first time that the Western audience is going to experience? A lot of people are going to experience it, or has it been before? Or?
It's been growing steadily since about probably Monster Hunter 3 on the 3DS. It's been growing in popularity in the West with each installment, each selling better and better. Getting like localized in English and stuff like that.
Do you think it's been hampered at all by the fact it's been on the 3DS? Do you reckon if it was just on PS3, PS4, Xbox 360, do you think it would have? Well, obviously it would have been in more people's hands, but do you think it would have helped the series at all if it was just not constrained to the 3DS?
I mean, probably, yeah, because it's a weird game because it suits being on a handheld because you can do like the quick like half-hour monster hunt, and then just carry on with your day. Or you can literally just sit for like hours on a console if you want, crafting armor, doing quests.
It's got that loot kind of thing to it, I guess, doesn't it?
Yeah, cause it's sort of an RPG as well as an action game, so it's quite suited to a console. But yeah, I think with this being on console and PC, it's probably this might be the biggest Monster Hunter we've ever had in the West.
I probably agree with you there. So Monster Hunter, we should definitely get some co-op in on that. I mean, you said there was 2. What was that? What else was it?
It's Super Mario Odyssey. I've not been this excited for a Mario game since I can't remember. Probably Sunshine on the GameCube.
Right. What is it about this one?
It's just the
New Donk City, isn't it?
Yeah, New Donk City. Who doesn't want New Donk City?
Who doesn't know that terminology?
It's that jazzy theme tune as well. Don't know why, it just makes me happy.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah,
it's got this like really energetic, just aura about it.
Yeah,
really.
Yeah,
and it just looks like a good time. Like
Super Mario. Okay.
I mean, I've got to say that the more and more I see of it, the more it appeals to me. I've never been a huge Mario gamer, but we've all got that one memory of playing a Mario game and loving it, right? Everyone's got a fond memory, at least, of Mario. But I lost it when it's in 3D. I've never played, the 64 or whatever. But this does look interesting to me. There's some gameplay, what do you call it? Someone's got gameplay elements that appeal to me, like throwing a hat and jumping on it and bouncing off. That kind of, that looks pretty cool. The more I see of it, the more I'm thinking, maybe I want to play that.
They're extremely creative, aren't they? And that's one of the reasons why they keep getting so well reviewed, because they're just incredibly well designed games, and they're just mechanically brilliant. And that's was it which was the one where it was kind of like planets.
Galaxy.
Galaxy, yeah. So I remember when it was like Galaxy 2 or something, and people were like, this is the best game of all time.
It was really good, Galaxy.
Like, really? And I was there, playing Mass Effect and whatever, and thinking the same thing about Mass Effect, because I'm an idiot. But, what I mean? It's the people who play it, like, absolutely love it, and they always get reviewed really well. So this is probably going to be one of their biggest in years, because the Switch is doing well. This is could be a real like Christmas. When's it come out? It's before Christmas.
It's coming out end of October, so it's getting just in time for Christmas shopping season.
So this could be a brilliant final quarter or whatever to give the old boardroom talk there for Nintendo. Between Mario Kart and the Switch doing decently, I think they're going to have a very nice few months ahead of them. I think they're going to do very well. You can't, when was the last time a Mario game came out and got reviewed badly? I mean, it doesn't happen, does it? I think it's a good shout. That'll be definitely fun to play.
How about yourself, Mike? You're looking at the list
I'm
there.
Really boring. I know what I'm trying to find something else. I'm trying to find something else, but I'm going to be really boring and say Total War Warhammer 2, which I've already played.
We've already played that, Mike. But it's out like a few days after.
I'm so excited about it. It's fucking Total War in it. That's my bread and butter, Total War. I mean, it's the game I keep going back to. I can't wait to see. I'm hoping that we got to play like a quest battle, and I've seen a lot of people online kind of playing a bit of campaign and playing a couple of different quest battles, so it would be nice to see what else is going on there. And they've announced the Skaven, which is like the fourth race that you can play, which is like the Rat Men, which look really fun. So yeah, just Total War Warhammer 2. There's no never in doubt, to be honest. I was desperately looking for something else. There's plenty of games I want to play, but that just sits right at the top of the list for me. What are you guys?
Okay, so there's a couple that I'm interested in getting my hands on. First would be Detroit Become Human. I don't know if there's a playable demo there.
Right.
I've been excited for this game for ages, and it's David Cage. I love his games, his previous games. I love the fact that your choices matter in games, and it can change the outcome of any scenario. And apparently, this is more so than ever. The storyline can change completely, and he's written it in a way that you could have a total different playthrough. If you play it multiple times. So I'm just interested to see how the mechanics of it work, whether it is what he's selling it as. But I've not been disappointed in his games before, and I'm excited for that one.
Anything else?
The other one I'm excited to get my hands on, but purely because they're not doing so well. That's Sea of Thieves, and the Microsoft thing. I want Microsoft Xbox to do well. I don't want them to fall away, and PlayStation's been the market leader, so that they can just find new ways
charge us more for PS Plus,
new ways of fleecing us because there's no competition. Sea of Thieves is one of the only hopes left for me. That's the only all right. The State of Decay 2 that's coming out, which isn't exclusive, but Sea of Thieves, if this does well, it can do well for the Xbox platform. And keep the competition alive, which is healthy for the industry, right? So Sea of Thieves, I'm interested to get my hands on it to see what it's like co-op, because that's the big seller these days. If you get your friends involved and everyone's playing a co-op game, it can sell loads. You can do really well on the back of it. So I'm interested to see if it is mechanically mature, as in it's not just like very superficial things that you can do. If it's very in-depth strategically, or if there's anything that's like can appeal to my maturity, I guess, as a gamer, because the aesthetic of it does look very immature, very, I don't know, and I don't know if I'm devaluing the game by saying that, but it doesn't look mature enough to really appeal to me. I'm hoping that there's something in there, and from what I've seen, there should be. The way that the mechanics of the multiplayer works, where one guy can be below deck looking at a map, and he has to shout up to the captain to say which way to turn the wheel and to go to. Like the fact that you have to work cooperatively like that is appealing, and I hope there's more things like that where you've got different roles to play within the team. I hope there's more of that, and I hope there's more there's more ways to express yourself in the game, and play together, and it's not just a railroad type of experience where you can be like inventive and come up with adventures. You can go on, it's a pirate game, you expect adventures. I hope there's adventure in the game.
I think the fact that it's so tactile and practical, like you have to hold the map and you have to look at the map, and there's waves splashing over, so there's you got to look at this thing and work it out for yourself. It's not like covered in icons and whatever. You got to figure out what you're doing, and all that kind of that logic stuff is really fun to experience. You know, I'm playing Divinity Original Sin 2 at the moment, and that's such a huge part of the appeal. Things make sense in your head, so they make sense in the game, and that's cool. The only thing I'm worried about with this is that I've kind of got the No Man's Sky effect, where it looks lovely and it looks like it'd be really fun, and it's like, what do you actually do in a game? Oh, you're a pirate. You're a pirate. Yeah, cool. But what am I doing? What am I chasing? Yeah, pirate stuff, you know, treasure and that. Well, that's kind of what they were saying with No Man's Sky. Like, what are you? You're a space explorer. What are you looking for? Space exploration. Great. That, you know. So I'm kind of a little bit worried because of that.
That No Man's Sky effect. That's
exactly. It's still kind of sitting on me. I'm scarred. So, but otherwise, yeah, I'm looking forward to that as well. And we should definitely get some co-op in on that, and because it's such a key part of the experience. I think that playing it with others is going to be a huge deal, isn't it? So
the cooperative element.
Yeah. So that's EGX. I mean, a couple of other titles. It's not
Battlefront 2.
Yeah, there's a lot of big games. Shadow of War.
I would have thought you'd have been interested in Battlefront 2.
I'm very excited about Battlefront 2. Yes, Shadow of War. I'm interested in particular because I'm so bored of the microtransactions stuff, and it's so off-putting. Not in a protesty kind of way. I don't want that. I don't want to be fucking rolling the dice all the time and seeing what orcs I get in my next loot crate. That is so boring to me that I don't want to play it. So I want to play it and hope that the mechanics are solid enough that, you know, that it can still win me over. Far Cry 5 I'm really excited about checking out as well.
I want to give that a look.
It's been a while since I played an amazing Far Cry game. Far Cry 4 was decent. Far Cry 3 was the last time I really like this is cool. It was really good. So I'm really looking forward to playing a bit of Far Cry 5, even though it's Ubisoft.
Assassin's Creed Origins looks interesting.
That's you know, it's had a year off. I mean, you know, there's a lot of games out there already out.
Cuphead, Jake's going to be excited about that.
Yeah. Mario Rabbids Kingdom Battle as well. Being a huge XCOM fan, I definitely want to get a spin on that, see what that's all about.
And Hidden Agenda is another one that I hope, you know, could because this is like the couch co-op or couch game where you can play with your family, and it's
it's one where you've all got your phones, isn't it? You can like try and interfere.
You're playing the game together as a social.
That's Playlink, right? Is that what that is?
Yeah, it's one of their Playlink titles.
I'm interested in that.
I've played loads of That's You, like whenever we had friends over and whatever, since we've had that on the PS Plus, and I played it a lot, right? And I really, really like it. It's such a good party game, even for people who have no interest in video games. People just won over by it. My mum and dad even were just like, this is so fun. So I think that kind of thing has really got a future, like just to appeal to people in the same way that, you know, mobile apps and stuff did. People who aren't gamers will get them on board. So yeah, definitely, I'm interested in seeing what happens with that. So that's EGX. I mean, if like we said earlier, if there's anything you want us to cover, any impressions of particular games you want from us, just check out the list on the EGX website. There's a long list of all the titles that are going to be there, and ask away, and we'll try and get that covered for you. We'll be making videos while we're down there, we think, pretty much.
Yeah, just and meeting some guys as well. So if you are heading on go, or thinking about heading down there, and you think, oh, what's going to be there for me? Well, we're going to be there. So we're the main attraction, are we not? But no, all joking aside, we'll be there. We're quite happy to arrange some sort of meetup. We've already got Simply Phil from the Discord. Meet up with him.
Me and Phil, and anybody else.
Anybody else wants to be there, tweet us or something, and we'll do our best.
Get a beer or something. That'll be amazing. So now the 30-second throwdown, which we've been running for the last few weeks. So this is a 30-second rant, completely out of context with everything else that we've been talking about. And Jake's done the last two, and he's kind of got the motor mouth for it.
But he's not here.
He's not here, so we're gonna have to do our best without him. So this week's topic, Gareth is going to take this week's topic, the 30-second throwdown for this week. How many trailers do you fucking need? Here's the. Is there music for this? Yeah, there's some horrible metal music. So here's the music. Okay, Gareth, go ahead.
How many fucking trailers do we need, man? Warner Brothers just released another trailer for Shadow of War, right? This yesterday, and this is what they've done a dozen so far. Like, how much money are they spending on this shit? This is CGI, fully motion captured, a full movie scene, pretty much, like a minute and a half of which. How much money are they spending on that? Stop spending your money on all this bullshit promotion and spend some money on your game. Stop fleecing people with microtransactions. And by the way, the orcs are now rumored to be a one-use only in those microtransaction boxes. I mean, what the fuck are you doing, Warner Brothers? Stop being so shitty.
That's 30 seconds, Gareth. Thank you very much. Very nice. Let's move on. This week is going to be the Adpocalypse. in Pretty Good Gaming. We've been hit by it. It's crashed over us like a wave of. Well, not really. We've had 6 videos. it's the first kind of signs.
We were doing well, weren't we?
We were doing.
And then yesterday, it all kind of crashed home. It's like, no, you're not under the radar.
Yeah.
You're still liable to be to have money stripped from you for apparently no reason.
They're onto us.
Yeah.
So we've been having to deal with that. We've been having to deal with that. So this is the Adpocalypse. If you haven't heard already, a lot of YouTubers have been complaining about it, and now so are we. It's something that kind of affects you in different ways, but basically what it means is that a YouTube video will just get flagged as not advertiser friendly. In other words, advertisers might not want to put their adverts next to your video because it is in some way offensive to those advertisers. They don't want to be associated with it. But in video games, it's a big problem because it's just, there's so many channels that have been affected, and it's everything from kind of mild swearing, like the word crap, for example, is not okay, you guys. And even mentioning games, just mentioning a game in a title can get you flagged as advertising non-friendly or whatever. Now it's limited or no ads. So they've changed it a little bit, I think. So it's basically you won't be getting as much money from that video, or you won't be getting any money from that video. So
they decide, they don't even tell you whether there's no ads or whether it's limited. It's a very broad umbrella type of stamp to put on your video. It's like, you don't know how much money you're making from this video so far. So a little bit detail for your guys' information. We've got 6 videos currently, 6 of the current crop of videos, because I've got a lot of Let's Play videos from before the channel was Pretty Good Gaming, when it was Gareth Gaming. A shitload of them have been demonetized, which is no big deal, right? But the 6 of the recent crop of Pretty Good Gaming videos have been demonetized as of yesterday, and apparently if you look on people's Twitter who have been affected by this, it's a daily thing. Like every day they get more and more videos demonetized. So let's hope that this is like we can us now. we can get through this, and that's just it. But we are expecting more and more to come. We'll deal with them as they come in. We can get them reviewed. But when we're covering things like censorship in the gaming industry, and we're talking about boobs the whole video, and we even mentioned at the end of the video it might be demonetized, that was the biggest one that's been demonetized, and we kind of expected that. And hopefully it doesn't get any worse. Is my main thought, really.
What was a concern for me was we kind of got hit by this on Monday, and my first thought was, well, what if we'd have been hit on Thursday before we filmed the video about Randy Pitchford? Would we have said some of the things we said? Which is, I'm happy with basically all of what we said.
I love that video. It's awesome.
Yeah, I enjoyed filming it, and Randy Pitchford's a knobhead. So I just wanted to communicate that. But would we have done that? Would we have been said what we wanted to say if we were worried about getting flagged as advertiser non-friendly? It is a concern.
It is an interesting question, and I, for one, think that we wouldn't have been, because we'd have been bummed out, right, if we'd have had a huge hit. We'd have thought, and it had been preying on our minds. But when we filmed that video, we were free to say what the fuck we want, and we did. We went to town on him, and it made for a really entertaining video because we were gung ho, right? Now imagine if this continues and we get to a point where we're like, what do we do? Like, we've got 2 choices. We either completely censor ourselves or say things like in a non-hateful way, I guess, because I don't know if that's the right way to term it, but just like rein in a little bit, just so we're not so like out there and I don't know, griefing people. Is that what we do?
I think it's not tone. I mean, it's Rooster Teeth are worried, aren't they? Because Funhouse are crazy, but they think they're just completely done for because of the way they've been hit, and they're not like, they're just having a laugh most of the time, but they just make jokes that are a bit out there or whatever, and that's it. That's enough to get a lot of their videos demonetized. And maybe it's the case of getting, the bigger you get, the more the more attention you're going to get, and the more kind of concerned they're going to be about putting ads on your videos.
I mean, I think if the worst does happen and most of our videos gets demonetized, then the only thing that the only card we've got left to play is do an appeal for patron. Like a lot of people have done it. Worth a Buy's done it, and he's bumped his patron uploads. ACG's done it, and again, they've reached the point where they're comfortable now, and they can say what the fuck they want. They don't need to get the Jim Sterling. He doesn't need to get his videos monetized because he's supported by the community.
Actively demonetizes all of his videos, and he gets annoyed when they get monetized because they get copyright claimed by the music that he uses, because he does use 80s pop music and stuff like that. So it does get claimed, and he's had to. But he can have fun with it. He can be creative. Like he's done the copyright deadlock thing, which was kind of a famous thing that he did, where he put so much copyright content in there that all the companies were claiming it, and nobody ends up getting the money. But he doesn't care because he's got the Patreon to fall back on. So
so
you can have fun with it.
That's the only option left for us, right? That we put a huge appeal out there and ask people to help us keep going, because we wouldn't be able to keep going if all our monetization got stripped from us. It wouldn't be possible. So we could try that, and I guess we're just hoping that people are kind enough to support us in that eventuality. We haven't done that yet.
We're not there yet.
We don't need that yet. Yeah. We're surviving on the AdSense revenue, and that's where we hope to stay, so that we don't have to ask people for money, because that's essentially what it is. I don't feel comfortable with that either. I'd quite more than happily leave it as it is and make the people paying for advertisers. People like Warner Brothers, who want to promote their stupid 1.5-minute trailers, like CGI trailers. If they want to give us money to put adverts on our videos, that's the happy medium, right? Okay, and everybody wins. But at the end of the day, I don't feel comfortable asking people for money, but we might have to. We're put in that position now. Like YouTube, what are you doing, YouTube? And the problem for me is, the biggest problem is the guidelines for what is acceptable and what isn't. They're very vague, right? So certain things like you can't insult anyone, for instance, or you can't upload, political type things. We're basically going to be going through that with a fine-tooth comb and seeing what we can get away with. But we don't want to censor ourselves. And at the same time, we're happy taking money off these people, but they don't want us to. It's such a difficult scenario. And
but the thing about the guidelines is just basically non-existent, because it boils down to don't be a knob, right? So it's like, well, what's a knob? Well, who's to say when it's you're knobbish and when you're not? It's like, don't use incendiary language is one of them. But what is incendiary language? And like I said in the office the other day, an ISIS recruitment video I would think to be incendiary, but me saying that Randy Pitchford isn't a top guy, is that incendiary? I mean, I don't know. It's completely subjective, your interpretation of half the words they're using, and the communication from them is just terrible, because they just can't ever give you a clear answer on anything, but definitely not this. So there you go. The apocalypse is coming for a pretty good gaming.
It's on its way.
So let's move on to something a bit cheerier, something to cheer us all up. Fact of the week, you guys. So give us the jingle. Fact of the week for this week. Strap it. In Uncharted 4: A Thief's End, the picture that Nathan and Sam take in Chapter 16 can be seen differently in the epilogue, depending on if you put a costume on Nathan. So on to the comments. First of all, thanks everyone, thanks all the patrons for getting us over $1,000 on Patreon. How lovely was that?
That's what I'm talking about, guys. Yeah. That's it right there.
Thank you very much.
That's heartfelt. That is that means a lot to us.
It's a milestone there.
Because if more people did what you do, you patrons, then we wouldn't have to worry about this bullshit that's going on YouTube in the apocalypse. And that's why we appreciate it so much, because it's having a real effect on us now. And to surpass that threshold just as this apocalypse thing is happening, it means a lot.
Very symbolic. But we also appreciate all the comments. Everyone was quick to notice that we passed $1,000 all patrons and giving us congratulations and everything. We read all of those. Thank you very much. It means a lot for you to not only be donating, but also congratulating us on how much has been donated. That's awesome. Thank you very much, guys. So we'll jump into your questions now. If you want your questions answered next week, then just reply to this thread on the Patreon feed and we'll answer your questions and have some conversation around what you've got to say. So Ben Mortimer comes out first with, "Hey lads, opinions on Rick and Morty." It's the best animated sci-fi show I've ever seen, behind Futurama. What about you guys?
There. It's like it's a world record apart from...
It's flipping amazing. It's incredible. Great show.
It's great, yeah.
You're a big fan, Liam, aren't you?
Yeah, it's fantastic. I mean, it's like a really it blends comedy with some really serious issues.
Deep philosophy. Dan Harmon is a genius, I think. I'm a huge fan of Community, so the lead writer with Justin Roiland on Rick and Morty is Dan Harmon, who made Community, which is I think my favourite comedy ever. And if you've like Rick and Morty and you've never seen Community, then watch Community, because there's a lot of crossover there of comedic kind of style and stuff. It's not as mental, I suppose, but it's definitely worth a watch. Yeah, Rick and Morty, I love it. You recently got into it.
Yeah, I got into it maybe a month ago. I'm currently season 2, episode 4 or something like that. And I first watched it. It was I had a couple of laughs, but now you get to know the characters, and it's just it's so entertaining. It's very funny. And what I love about it is that it's not scared. It's a cartoon, right? It's a cartoon. It's not scared to finish an episode with what's the name of the mum in the show?
Beth.
Yeah.
Beth on the floor.
Is Beth the daughter?
No.
She's Morty's mum, but Rick's daughter.
Yeah, Beth.
Right.
Yeah.
Beth. Anyway. They're not afraid to end an episode with Beth on the floor crying because she's just shot Mr.
Shaking a bottle of wine,
drinking a bottle of wine. That's crying, and that's it. Cuts, roll credits. Yeah. It's just a horrific moment where she's murdered somebody.
Yeah.
Like what a family friend because she thought it was an alien or something.
Oh, it's darker than that. It shows him at physical therapy and everything, trying to learn to walk.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Oh, spoiler alert. Spoiler alert.
He can't look her in the eye or anything. Was that after the credits?
It's in the same episode.
Oh, is it? After the end of the credits.
It's like the end credit scene.
It's got the best end credit scenes. Rick and Morty. It's just like it puts Marvel to absolute shame. Like, what are you doing, Marvel? My favorite ending is very dark. Also, is with when Morty is he's just buried his own body in the back garden, and he's just realised that his own universe is not the only universe, and his life is meaningless because there's infinite universes. And he's having all these thoughts, and the final few scenes is just him staring blankly, trying to process this fucking bomb of information, while Rick is sitting on the sofa having a beer. Rick's already over it. It's absolutely love it. It's genius show. So that's what we think about Rick and Morty. Thomas Hartley. I agree with all the points you've put across when talking about this before, but when you mentioned Tales from the Borderlands last week, a friend said something I'd not considered. Could this model be used to try newer, riskier and more innovative things, knowing that if they don't work off or work well, the last few episodes could be produced at a lower cost? I have pretty conflicting thoughts on the matter. I would love to hear what you think. So if it's a new idea and some new kind of game, I guess so. I'm not a huge fan of episodic stuff generally. I don't know about you guys. What do you think?
I'm always put off by episodic content like that. But if you're not committed to your game, why even begin it? Why even begin the process? If you don't have the funds to be able to complete it, why even go for it? I don't know. I guess that's a stepping stone for a developer who maybe can't afford it. It's an avenue for them to get it funded. It's by selling it episodically like that, and if it does well enough, we'll give you more content. I don't like that for the consumer. It's bullshit, right? Just pitch your idea to a publisher, or find your funding elsewhere. Get if you believe in your product so much that you want other people to invest in it, then find people that aren't the players. Don't rip the players off. Try and convince somebody with the actual pitch of the game. Don't just let other people buy into the game and then don't deliver on the rest of the game just because it doesn't work.
I think a community, consumer friendly version of that would be like PT. So you just give someone a demo of the game or like a teaser of the game and for free, and did you like that? And then if everyone says yes, then you make a game. Yeah, PT got huge word of mouth, and it was it's kind of this cult thing now because they pulled the plug on it and all that and took it off the store. But it just became its own thing, and it was just a free demo. And if people did that, I would be totally on board with it. Give everyone a sample, gauge the reaction, gauge the opinion to that, and maybe it could just be like one mechanic or something that you're not too sure about, and then you'll get the feedback like that, and then go off and make the full version, full game, and then charge for it. That would be the best.
Final Fantasy 15 did that.
Exactly, I was thinking
they put out the demo. They asked for fan feedback, did loads of surveys and questionnaires, and that formed the development of the final product.
Yeah.
And it worked out quite well, I reckon.
So that would definitely be a solution. It's kind of a halfway point to what you were suggesting there. So thanks for the question there, Thomas. Thank you. Paul Dagnall. New set looks boss, lads. Just want to know what you think about the LA Noire remaster that's coming out. I'm not one for remasters, but this one I might buy. So I did write a script for this, but there was some better news, so we didn't use it. It was pretty interesting. The VR thing in particular. Gaz, you must be excited about that, right? As a VR owner.
Yeah, I think one of the interesting things about LA Noire is because it was cutting edge face technology at the time. What do you call it, mocap, and to have that remastered now, it looks dated now, but to have that remastered, that brings it back up to the current kind of standard, which is great. I never played the original. I watched a playthrough of it, so I would be interested in to jump in and to be in a VR full. Imagine being a detective in real life when you put a VR unit on and have this high-end mocap technology in these characters that you're seeing, and you're trying to read their body language, read how they're reacting facially. Detective simulator. Who wouldn't want that? It sounds like an awesome premise for a game to me.
I think that is almost like Uncanny Valley sort of stuff for me. I think that would be quite creepy. I think my reaction to speaking to a virtual character that has very realistic facial movements, and then judging whether or not they're lying, and then making a note in my notebook to see what I think, like you do in LA Noire. That's quite a crazy experience.
It'd be great during the interrogation scenes. To get a read on their face in VR, that'd be pretty incredible. Yeah,
I think it's got a lot of potential anyway, and the fact that they're remastering it generally, is just great. LA Noire was a good game, pretty underrated, I thought. Didn't need it to be an open world, but there you go, whatever. It's a good game, and it's coming out to Switch. It's coming to the Switch, isn't it?
Yeah, Switch will be cool with the motion controllers. You can pick up objects, turn them around. That's right. That'll be good.
And the consoles as well, I think. So that's decent. So thanks for the question there, Paul. Simply Phil asks, question for this week is one based on your recent PewDiePie video. Do you feel that it's getting more challenging to have intelligent reflection on the more social political aspects that is stamping its way into gaming culture? Well, Phil,
no whims there, Phil.
We can talk about this at length in EGX, I guess. But
maybe we should answer it there rather than risk pissing people off here, because it's easy to do these days. How did it become to this where people are so I don't get so pissed off with other people's opinions. It's just opinions. And I don't know what it is. It's like the people who are saying you should be more tolerant or you should be less tolerant are the ones who are intolerant.
Yeah,
it doesn't make sense. Just everybody just calm down. Let's have a conversation about it. I don't know. I lose energy for it.
It's difficult, isn't it? It's the internet, and it's not your other people's opinions are forced on you everywhere you turn on the internet. You just can't avoid it. It's what the internet is. It's other people. So I think that's a key part of the equation. I think when they brought, when fucking Tim Berners-Lee, whatever, was cooking up the internet, it was like, he's dreaming some utopia or something, and it's just not happened, does it? It's just been like more, debate and argument and people getting blocked on Twitter than, intelligent thought and discussion. So I don't know, it's just gaming culture is just a huge subculture now. It's got a heavy responsibility for, making sure that the conversation stays civil and appropriate, I guess. But it's a young industry as well, so it's a complicated picture, I think, and we'll just have to
something we might discuss at length.
We'll have to talk about EGX, Phil. It's a big question, man. Jonathan Jarvis, will there be different sounds on the duck game button every week? That's more like it, Jonathan. Thank you. We can deal with that. Will there be different sounds on the duck button every week? Well, we haven't got the duck button this week. Sorry, that's a bit of an oversight. No, it's
Jake's going to be Devo.
It's the duck button. It's what it is.
It's a duck button.
That's part of
it's not a generic sound button.
That's it.
50% of what makes it good. Duck button is the other half. It's duck is important. So no, duck button and duck button only. Matthew John Jenkins, great intro and video, funny stuff, very nice dig. Seems a lot more roomy. I'm just wondering if you all get settled in time, will you be doing a Halloween special podcast? I think it would be great if all four of you were dressed up as creepy themed video game characters, and that sound effect that Liam was pressing, that duck button again, has captured the imagination of the audience. Could be of that sort of theme. Halloween themed podcast. I don't know, I'm not a fancy dress kind of guy, to be honest.
Fancy dress? Is it fancy dress, or is it what do they call it these days?
I just wear a mask.
Cosplay? Is it cosplay, Mike?
I don't know.
I mean, it's a cool word. So you can cosplay.
That says it all.
Fancy dress is like it's old school. Let's not talk about fancy dress. It's cosplay these days. It's what's cool.
Right. So cosplay. Maybe, I don't know. I'll wear a cowboy hat or just a mask. I'll host the whole podcast and I'll be like, "Hello, welcome to." It'll be like that.
Friday the 13th thing or something.
It's a Halloween podcast. What do you?
I don't know. I'm not a big Halloween kind of. I don't celebrate it. I guess.
It's huge in America, isn't it? It's not like
it's not a huge thing over here. No. I guess it's only huge here because of America. I guess.
Yeah, I think it's got a lot. Pop culture has just kind of invaded. American culture just has such a huge effect on us that's just part of it, isn't it? It's like they're always celebrating Halloween and movies and TV shows, and then that kind of seeps into our lives, I guess, a little bit. So,
I mean, the best I got on Halloween was putting a black bin bag on. And I can't even remember what I was trying to be. A bin? But putting a hole in a black bin bag, putting my head through it, some arms, just like a vampire or something.
Black sheep.
Like some teeth or something from the shop. They're the most low-budget cosplay you've ever seen. And
maybe we should do that.
Maybe
British
that's
Halloween.
Exactly, traditional British Halloween back from when we were kids. None of these buckets of fucking candy are bullshit. It's like, give us some money or I'll throw dog shit on your doorstep. That's trick or treat, isn't it?
Happy Halloween, everyone. So Stephen Hughes says, speaking of refunds on PS4 and keeping in mind Sony loves money, yes they do, how do you think they should implement digital refunds that would benefit both the company and consumer? They need to do something because it's like Steam, isn't it? Steam has got a very good system, I think, absolutely fair. 2 hours is a bit tight, but you got to balance it with the games that are just 2 hours long, like the indie games and whatever. Yeah. So it's fair. Sony should do that. It's so hard to get a console refund, and it's like you've got to be careful. If you're really committed to having a refund, they might not give you a refund again in future. It's so arbitrary, the rules around it, that they can't be that legal, really. I mean, consumer rights, if you took it to court or something, I'm sure there'd be some, you'd be able to change the precedent for everyone else, because it's bollocks at the moment. They just need to improve dramatically. I don't know. What do you think? What do you guys think?
I think that PSN needs to catch up. Every major game digital distribution has some sort of refund system. Xbox has got it.
Yeah.
Steam, Origin. I think even Uplay have refunds. But yeah,
even Uplay, Sony.
I think it's pretty much just Nintendo and Sony now who need to
the holdouts
catch up with the modern day age of digital gaming. Because it seems, like you said, it's arbitrary now.
Yeah.
Just not offering a refund. Because it's literally a switch they flick on their server. Can he access this game? Yes? No? That's all they have to do.
It's like crossplay, isn't it? Like, we can do it, but nah.
It can be done by mistake so easily, but no, we won't do it.
Okay. Jared Lamb, do you have any plans on selling merch in the future? I'm ready for a PGG t-shirt.
It's a conversation that we've had, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's it's not the priority. That's the problem. We don't have the resource to be able to make it a priority. We don't have the manpower to be able to make it a priority. We would love to. It'd be awesome.
Yeah. It'd be more like a viewer service kind of thing. It'd be cool if you actually want it. That's very awesome. Thank you very much for even thinking that. But it would be cool. It would be like a service to you guys, because it wouldn't be very profitable for us or anything. I mean, it wouldn't help us through the apocalypse, for example.
Yeah. Well, it may do. I mean, we would have to outsource it, and to like Spreadshirt or something. They would make it. We would send the designs. They would create it and ship it to you, and we would see maybe £1 out of every sale.
We need to be shifting some Primark numbers.
I mean, I guess that's the price that you pay in outsourcing the production of these items. I guess that it leaves us completely free to focus on what we need to focus on, which is make videos, not make t-shirts. So I guess that's a good way. I mean, I guess we could see some sort of benefit from it financially, but not enough to make an impact, I don't think, because we just don't have enough awesome followers like you, I guess.
But it's not rule it out or anything. Definitely not.
It's definitely something that we're trying to do. But it's just having the time.
And we've just moved offices and all that sort of stuff. So it's like it'd be cool. It would be very cool to do. And I think it's awesome that people even want that. It's mind blowing to me, to be honest. So awesome. Thanks for the question, Jared. We'll see what happens in the future, I guess. Kenneth Dam. With a final question of the week. I've got a hardware question for you guys. I'm a happy and lazy console dweeb who's been on PlayStation since PS1. Despite this, I still feel a need to get the Xbox One X. But isn't it a waste by now with the endless stream of console seller cancellations from Microsoft? Wouldn't it make more sense to save up a bit and invest in a hardcore gaming or editing PC?
Yes.
Yes. Well, just get a PC anyway, regardless of what you're... I mean, if you had to choose one, get a PC over PlayStation is what I'd say. But it's
if you've got an option to save and buy a PC... Just do it.
Do that, yeah.
Do it, because you've got so much more options when it comes to gaming. You've got all the Xbox games anyway. Yeah. You've got all the indie games that are on Steam. A lot of them are shit, but there are some cool things happening in indie development you don't get on consoles.
You know what? There's a lot of PlayStation crossover as well that never really gets talked about. But like if you look at Nier Automata, for example,
yeah, that's on PC.
Sony and PC. You look at Lawbreakers. PlayStation and PC. So there's a lot of games that are actually just on PC and PS4 for some reason, and not on the Xbox. And so it's like there's tons of games that you probably would play anyway. And there's just so many indie games that if you're not into indie games, you're saying, oh, rolling your eyes. There are so many indie games. Indie doesn't mean 2D side-scrolling platformer. It means so many things. It's a huge world of gaming that if you haven't got a PC, you just can't really dip into properly. So,
and the beauty of it is you can still play with a controller. If that's
you
your
can do
preference,
whatever you want. Yeah.
You could set it up on your TV at home and still play on the couch. You could do that because it's so versatile.
Steam machines is very targeted.
Yeah, if you wanted to go down that route. But if you are looking seriously at the option of getting a PC, do your research beforehand and find a good build that's within your budget, because the worst thing in the world is buying a computer or a pre-built thing and then realising you could get a lot more for your money, because you just have to
shop around for sure.
You have to be a little bit clever about do your research basically.
It's a whole different experience. You take gaming seriously when you have a PC. It's a different kettle of fish, and if you're properly into video games, just get a PC. There's more to do. There's more options. It works out better in the long term. The games are cheaper. There's so many benefits to it. Just do it.
I would go as far to say as if you've sat through an hour of us talking about video games,
you're
and
ready
you're that
for
invested
a gaming PC.
in gaming, you're probably more than ready for a gaming PC.
Totally. Okay, so on that pearl of wisdom, we'll leave episode 30 of the Pretty Good Gaming Podcast. Thank you very much for watching right through to the end. You're a star. We'll see you next time.